I was chatting with a friend the other day who's been dragging his old drip maker around the kitchen for years, and he finally confessed that every time he tries to impress a guest with a real coffee, he ends up feeling more like a barista in training than a host. He's been eyeing the Gen SDH fully automatic coffee and espresso machine, but he's also worried about spending a chunk of cash on something that might end up gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I figured it would be worth walking through the whole setup, the day-to-day routine, and the actual trade-offs so he, and anyone else listening, can decide if this all-in-one is a fit before the money leaves the account. First off, the biggest question people have with these countertop giants is whether the automatic part actually saves time or just adds more steps. The Gen SDH does a decent job of marrying a bean grinder and an espresso brewer, which means you don't have to keep a separate grinder on the counter. In practice, you load beans into the top hopper, press a button, and the machine grinds the exact amount needed for a single shot or a cappuccino. For someone who enjoys a fresh espresso every morning, the convenience is noticeable. You're not waiting for a separate grinder to spin, you're not measuring out doses by hand, and you're not cleaning a second piece of equipment. That said, the grind-to-brew cycle still takes about 45 seconds to a minute, so if you're in a rush and need a coffee in under 30 seconds, you'll be better off with a traditional drip machine or even a simple pod coffee maker. Now, the dual-purpose bean powder claim is essentially saying you can use the same machine for whole beans and pre-ground coffee. In the kitchen I tested, the hopper accepted pre-ground powder without any jamming, which is handy if you have a favorite blend that you only purchase pre-ground. The catch is that the sensor sometimes misreads the amount of powder you dump in, leading to a slightly weaker shot if you overfill. A quick adjustment of the coffee strength dial fixes it, but it does add a mental note. If you're using pre-ground coffee, you need to be a little more deliberate about how much you pour in. Pressure is a hot buzzword in espresso machines, and Gen SDH touts a 15-bar pump. Real-world testing shows that the pressure is consistent enough to pull a proper crema, which most casual espresso drinkers equate with a good cup. The crema is silky, and the espresso has a decent body, especially when you stick with a medium roast that isn't too oily. However, if you're a seasoned espresso aficionado who likes to experiment with pressure profiling, the fixed 15-bar system won't give you the flexibility to dial down to 8 bars for a lighter extraction. So the machine is a solid middle ground. It delivers a calf-style shot without the learning curve of a prosumer model. One of the more humanized design aspects is the intuitive interface. The control panel is a single rotary knob surrounded by a few LED indicators for water level, bean level, and cleaning reminders. There's no maze of menus. You turn the knob to select espresso, cappuccino, or hot water, then press the start button. For someone who isn't into techie displays, this simplicity is a win. In the evenings, after a long day of cooking, you don't want to stare at a touchscreen trying to remember which icon means steam milk. The manual cappuccino function, which froths milk automatically, does a respectable job for a starter. The foam is thick enough to make a latte art swirl if you have a steady hand, but it won't reach the velvety microfoam you'd get from a dedicated steam wand. If you regularly host brunches or enjoy latte art as a hobby, you might still want a separate milk frother. Maintenance is where many automatic machines trip up, and the Gen SDH is fairly straightforward. The water reservoir is removable and holds about 1.5 liters, so you can refill without moving the whole unit. The bean hopper is easy to clean, just a quick dump of old beans and a wipe. The biggest hidden task is the descaling cycle. The machine prompts you after every 30 brew cycles, which translates to roughly once a month for a moderate household. You'll need a descaling solution, not included, and a few minutes to run the rinse program. If you ignore this, the pressure can drop, and the espresso taste will become flat. So the upside is the reminder system, the downside is the extra cost of descaling fluid over time. Who should buy this? If you're a coffee lover who enjoys switching between an espresso and a regular drip coffee without juggling multiple appliances, the Gen SDH fits nicely. It's especially good for small families or roommates who each have different coffee preferences. One can have a cappuccino, another can pull a plain espresso, and a third can just fill a mug with hot water for tea. The machine's footprint is about the size of a standard microwave, so it